You're listening to the Bombad Generals.
General? Oh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bombad Generals. So it's me, Matt. Seth, not here today, but unlike Todd, he will probably be returning to the show. But that's okay because we've got a guest. We've got Mr. Zach.
Good luck.
I'm trying to remember.
Harbula.
There was a U in there somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, you're close.
Pretty close. You might know him better as Floorf the Dwarf. Prolific Legion player, especially in the online scene, and then unfortunately currently in the team league scene as well. The Cats and Hats have won YBTL 3 times, I think.
Yep, correct. And we're about to win it for 4. So like, what can you do?
Well, we're trying to end that with the Gungans and Jar Jar Sphinx. So we'll see how that goes. It is currently undetermined. Might be decided Monday night, but Floorf and I are the captains, so we actually just talked a couple nights ago doing all the pairings and such. So we're putting that aside today. As much as we, hate each other on the battlefield, off it we're lukewarm, like the inside of a tauntaun.
Exactly.
But Zach, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself. Why do we have you on here, other than just being a good guy?
Generally, I'm sure it's just because I'm a fantastic player, but outside of that, this past weekend, as I'm sure everyone who listens to any podcast has figured out recently, was the Lone Star Open. And I was one of the esteemed people who had a chance to organize the event.
Consular!
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If I had $1 for every time I heard that. I'd probably have like 20
I'm sure
bucks.
you'd be a rich man.
Yeah, pretty good. I could buy a meal.
Lone Star. I was hoping to go. We faced each other last year. It was a good time.
It was quite the game. Oh my gosh.
It was 4FD.
It was a slugfest.
4FD slugfest. So much measuring, but we got to turn 6, so I don't feel bad about that. But yeah, I guess just to start off, you're a person. Let's pretend we're people who are sitting thinking, hey, should we go to Lone Star Open 2024? Is that something we want to get on the schedule? I loved Lone Star Open when I was there last year. I think it was at the same venue.
Yep.
Great venue. Again, it happens in a hotel, so you can just stay there, walk down. Lots of space. You can walk around the tables pretty easily. And good food around the venue. It is stinking hot in July in Texas.
There is a downside always, and that's certainly when Texas is involved, it's probably heat.
Yes. Have you thought about doing it in the winter?
Not up to me. If we could, oh my gosh, yeah, like a September-November tournament when it's like a cool 70, fantastic. Not up to me.
So that's the one drawback, but Dallas-Fort Worth Airport pretty easy to fly into, I would say.
Yeah, flights are generally pretty cheap because of that, because of how popular the airport is.
Anything you want to sell about it, Floorf, as a person who's been on all sides of it for the last few years?
I must say, the prize support, kind of insane. This year especially, we had the whole World Open qualifier kit, which was first ever in America. So very rare that people get to see that. And hopefully next year we get that as well, which kind of how close we are to Worlds will probably once again be that first tournament that actually gets to use it. And as you said, the venue's crazy. It has a fantastic pool. The hotel's like a 4-star hotel. It's crazy nice. And walking around the tables, gosh, going to tournaments where you can't walk around the table edges and you have to, if you want to, you have to go all the way around this like massive line of 5 different tables. It's just so annoying. To have that massive venue hall where there's just space to walk around the whole table, it's amazing. You can't get anything like it.
I've got the Fifth Trooper article open that Austin Miller wrote, and not only does it recap the lists, but here we'll see here. Whoops. Yeah.
There's some beautiful photos.
A beautiful photo. It's still loading on my side. Hopefully it shows up for our dear listeners, but this is a failure. The table, it's a nice looking table that you can fully walk around. And if you are someone who is going to bring, there we go.
Oh, there it is.
All that space. If you're doing things like disarray, danger close, even just the long edge deployments, having that ability to move around, super helpful, super useful. So an underrated thing for sure.
Something most tournaments don't have. Very few tournaments get their walk-around tables.
Yeah, you're happy sometimes if it's like, man, I'm only like 3 from the end.
I'm on the end. I get to like go around this time. Yeah. Not common
exactly.
at all.
I've definitely had tournaments too where it's, even with these ones, you play danger close, you set up on the opposite sides, and then you just look at each other and like, hey, should we? Yeah, and then you just pick up all your stuff,
and you go over like, are you gonna be deploying here? Yeah, I'll be over there. Let's just switch.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly.
I think another big selling point of LSO is because Texas is so centrally located. It's so easy for different people in America to get here. We had guys from California come out. We had guys from Florida come out. We had guys from Colorado who just drove down. We had a guy from Poland come out. That was crazy. He was cool to meet. We would have had a Canadian, but he had something come up with passport issues. And
yes, not for legal reasons. Just to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
So I'm telling people. So it's almost like a mini Worlds, and I'm really happy that starting kind of this year, we're starting to see things like the FLG circuit get these World Open qualifier statuses because they 100%. Are really, really big events. I think it was 62 people this year. So
yeah, we ended at 62. We sold 78. So we sold 77 tickets, I think, and we had like 12 drops. So I think it's a lot. Which I don't know. I guess. People were like, oh, World Open qualifier, I have to buy a ticket, and then they just never showed up. Like, they were just stuck in Canada. But
exactly.
Next year, we should hopefully hit an easy 84, I think was our goal this year, and that should be pretty easy to meet next year with, like, a longer time span of people knowing that we're maybe a World Open qualifier, so they have actually time to plan instead of just a month, which is what they had this year.
I guess the nice thing hitting below that 64 number is you didn't have to do a shadow round on Saturday.
Very nice. So we could all go out, get drinks, got home not at midnight. That was very nice. But,
so something to be aware of for next year, because if it does become a really big event, you might play 4 rounds. But hey, if you're playing 4 rounds on Saturday, something went well.
Something we've been pushing is to get it to be 3 days so that we don't have to do that.
Ooh, a little inside knowledge here.
I'll just not up to us. Not up to us.
Fingers crossed.
Those dang Warhammer guys control everything.
It is I think a hidden aspect of real life tournaments is the stamina portion of it. It's a non-zero factor of like how mentally sharp can you be at the end of the day. After 3 rounds, after 4 rounds, after doing, 6 rounds in 2 days. Do you still have the mental capacity to play at a high level when you're on the top tables or not?
I think it goes into like list building, right? Like if you play like some crazy like Yoda, Chewie, massive complex decision tree activation list, you'll probably mess up. That's what happened to one of our top 4 guys. He played Yoda and he just blundered. And he played 5 games in the past 24 hours. His brain was fried. So playing like the simple lists, like just the gun lines where you just I aim, shoot, and then I kill you is.
Exactly.
Just
bonus. Enough to keep you. It's the balance between having enough to keep you interested for 6 games and having not too much that you're overwhelmed after 6 games.
Yeah, like don't play quad FDs because that'll rot your brain.
That'll rot your brain in the wrong way. Yeah. People, all these anti-drug things out there, but really it should be anti-quad FDs. We need to tell our children. Yeah.
Exactly.
Not to do it. Speaking of quad FDs, that seamless transition as I slowly try to share screen. Rebels had a pretty good presence if we want to talk about the meta. No, not that tab.
Yeah, like from my expectations going into it, I was like top 8. We maybe get like 3 Empire, 3 Gar, and then a smattering of whatever's left. That is not what happened.
Yeah, and it's not like, we saw Indie Open where, Rebels were the most popular faction and ended up winning. This was still what we were seeing as far as mostly Empire, for those listening, 21 Empire in the field, 16 Republic at number 2, and then number 3 was Rebels at 15. So about kind of what we're seeing, but they made up half of the top 8, so a really strong showing from them there.
Oh, yeah.
And we will go back to and then, of course, it was won by one of the 3 Separatist players, and that makes 5 white saves. So we'll go back to that 5th Trooper article. We can talk a bit more. But Bright Tree Village, do we want it? Let's start with that because, Zach, obviously, the big news was a Bright Tree Village list, making it to top 8, and I believe knocking out the one and only Kyle Dornbos on day 1.
Did, yeah. Final round of day 1, round 3. It beat the illustrious Kyle Dornbos with his Pike, Dodge Spam, Anakin, Padme list. Now, it came out on Friday, and the players who brought it were required to have official models with them as well. So that gave people 24 hours to build a swarm
The perfect
army.
battle force to do that with.
Yep,
the one
exactly.
that's just 1 billion units. Yeah.
And we only had 2 people crazy enough to actually do it. The one you're seeing now with the Chewbacca, and then the other one which was just full Ewoks. It had Logray, Wicket, Leia, tons of skirmishers, tons of slingers, just as many troopers as they could put on the battlefield. Whereas this one I think does skew better. I do think you want to take Chewbacca, and this one does.
Why do you think, I've seen people making this argument, and I'm getting on board with it. Why do you think you got to take Chewbacca
Because you
in
kind of
Bright
just
Tree Village?
instant lose to armor if you don't. Like, what are you going to do against any ATST or Dark Trooper? You just got Log Trap, and that's it.
Right, but is log trap in one ATST enough? Is it enough?
It's better than no ATST.
It's better
because
than
the
nothing, that's
ATST
true.
is at least good at hiding your Ewoks and stuff with incognito, which I think is a crazy interaction. But that's neither here nor there. But
Yeah.
I think it's very fun to hide your Ewoks behind an incognito ATST that the clone trooper can't actually see you through for some reason. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, speaking of ATSTs, was Tempest Force there? I do not believe it made top 8.
It did
but
not. There was
I heard
one.
that. Yeah.
Just a single triple ATST. It lost to one of the guys who made top 8. He went 2-1 day 1. Very nice guy, Ty Rugas. Great dude. He had his 3. They're all fully painted, all fully based. He was clearly he was ready for this. This was his dream list, from what I heard. It was I can put the 3 ATSTs on the field. I'm playing this until I die.
Might be a person who already bought 3 and painted them for unconventional warfare.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
something.
That kind of guy.
This is my time.
Exactly. But yes, he went 2-1 with it. Barely, I would say barely. I think he got wrecked by one of the top 8 lists that just wrecked all 3 ATSTs in 4 turns.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was actually a stream game. It was the second game on stream. It was with one of the Rebel players, the one with double FDs.
Double FDs will do that. I'll see if I can bring it up here.
It was Michael Smiley's list, the second place.
Michael Smiley. Okay, there we go. Let's bring it up. It was our runner-up, so that's a nice little transition there. Whoops.
And from
Michael Smiley.
What
A good old
know,
Cassian Ahsoka gun line.
Oh yeah, and from what I know of that game, Ty played Tempest Force like you're supposed to. You walk at the enemies and shoot them, and it just didn't go well for him. The enemies shot back and shot better, and that was kind of it. From what I am aware, I didn't get to watch most of that game.
Well, if that's a good plug, this was streamed on Yavin Base, I believe on the YouTube. So if you want to go see, I believe 6 rounds, a stream for every round, check out that channel. Big fans of David and his work, so definitely go take a look at that if you want to be more knowledgeable than both Zach and myself on what exactly went down.
What happened in that game. I just know they were all dead when I walked back to that table, and I was like, oh, that's bad. That's probably not good.
I know on this podcast we maybe have been a bit down on Rebels, so if you are a Rebel player and want to pick me up and want to see them crushing it and really sticking it to the Empire, go for that. Now, Zach, I don't know if you've had much chance to practice with Tempest Force. Do you think Tempest Force, the best version, is triple ATST, or do you think it's double ATST
with bikes?
Triple bikes, 6 sniper?
I think the best version in Invader League, I'm playing the triple ATST version, but that's because I wanted to play the list that required the least amount of thinking. I just walk forward and I shoot you, and I hope you roll blanks. Triple bikes is probably better, but if they can't deal with one ATST, the 3 version is just better. But it does instant lose to something like HH-12 Storm Specialist spam that just some random guy will bring for some reason, and you'll just get killed round 2. which the bikes can help offset a little bit.
And we did see that kind of archetype with 2 of the top 8 being
yes.
ATST Blizzard forces, right? So that's part of it. I think that was the big question of if the best version of Tempest Force is ATSTs and bikes, can it do that better than Blizzard Force, which can bring 4 bikes? So for those who are listening, we've got here in 7th place James Russell with 10 AX, some HH12 heavy response units, 4 bikes, 1 ATST, and a couple repair droids on snows. And then just for comparison, in 5th place we've got Thomas Trotman, also with Veers, also DLTs with HH12s. It's basically the same list.
It's literally the exact same list.
Yeah, hold
the name
on
of Thomas's list is James Said I Could.
Perfect.
They're literally the same.
Yeah.
They're the exact same list.
I got to discover that in real time. So there we
It's
go.
very fun. And they had a mirror match in like one of the I think it was the round 3 game for top 8. But if you count up the impact in this little list here, it's actually impact 20.
Ooh, yeah.
That'll make some short works of some ATSTs should they choose to do anything.
Is that before or after you count maximum firepower?
That is before. So, of course, if you want to drop that 1 pip, you got even more impact that turn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. It's got a killer objective deck with the 4 speeder bikes. It's got 2 bombardment cards with maximum firepower, overwhelming barrage. And, yeah, you've got a big ATST. And you've got all the anti-armor in the world.
Yeah, you don't. They built it for darks, of course. That was like this will just wreck any dark trooper I see. And then Tempest came out, and they're like, oh sweet, another list I just decimate if I see it. Of course, I don't think either of them saw either of those lists, but I guess that shows that the list can still make top 8 even without hitting its armor skew.
It's still the objective deck. I think makes that difference. If you run into, Cassian, Ahsoka FDs, it's not auto win for sure, but you're feeling decent when you have all the mobility. So there you go. Okay, this is Blizzard Force, still good after the points.
For 100%, still good.
Yeah, and you can just take that ATST out and you can make it Commander Vader if you want. It's going to be very different, but you can still do Commander Vader stuff with Blizzard people. Maybe I shouldn't say that too loud. Anything more to say about this before we get to the winner, Floorf? Anything else that caught your eye?
Rebel, once again, 4 Rebels in top 8 is crazy. Ahsoka had a good showing across the field. Austin, once we get to the guy who won, the Slayer of Rebels this top 8. I guess let's segue into him.
Let's go right to it. There we go. It's hard to talk about like other sleepers when basically the whole top 8 is almost something we would have
It's
said
almost
was
like
a
you would like,
sleeper
what is
going.
that? What is that? I've never seen that. Yep.
So Austin Miller, winner of many a tournament at this point. Dude is on a heater. Really, honestly, probably the most successful Florida man to ever be at this point. He's really doing his part to reclaim positive connotations for that. But we've got maxing out 800 points, 11 acts, T-Series. We've got a loaded up Cad Bane, even with smoke grenades, which is interesting. I guess maybe partly filling out to get to 800 and partly for some survivability. His battle droids naked for the most part, like no heavies, 6 of them. 1 with the HQ uplink, 1 with a med droid, 2 PK series worker droids, and then tripling down on situational Magna Guards. So getting that retinue dodge, plus maybe even an AI dodge, but just very hard to kill, very good anti-armor, good ranged attacks, and a little bit of spice with Cad Bane, who can be that scalpel unit jumping around and collecting, threatening at least, bounties. So it's an interesting one. There's only 4 units that shoot in an 11 activation list.
Yep. But that's all that he needed.
Everything's pointed towards keeping them alive. I mean, for 24 points, 2 PK series worker droids are basically a full squad of Not a full squad because Meg does her 8 wounds, but half a squad.
Yeah, and you can repair for so if he took 4 wounds on a turn, he just brings back 2 models, and they
Brings
lost
back 2
nothing.
models.
With no effectiveness. I watched him
I
do it many
mean,
times. It was always gross.
Droids are really good for that because they have the order control on their core, and when you have 11 activations, you can hold them for late if you need to, so that you don't miss that timing window. Was there anything? I'm sure we've got lots of stream games of Austin, certainly the finals.
Yep.
Is there anything that stuck out to you watching Austin operate that made you think, oh, okay, that's a little secret sauce of what's going on here?
Man plays as Bane well. I watched his top 8 game, which was with the Sabine list, and then I was able to watch the finals game, which was against the double FD Cassian list we talked about earlier, and he's a good Bane player. Literally every game, Bane. I will say Bane died at the very start of turn 2 in the finals, but if you watch it, didn't matter. Bane had literally in one turn, Bane had done enough to just swing the game towards his favor. He had broken K2's incognito. He had forced Ahsoka out into the open to kill Bane, and then he just killed Ahsoka that next turn, and that was the game because he had sacrificed his Bane early. Man just knows how to play his Bane. I would recommend watching those stream games if you want to see it.
As someone who has a teammate who is also a great Bane player, Zodiac, I've played against that a number of times. A well-played Bane is the bane of my existence.
Wow.
So good, so clever. The joke that's never been made, but no, it is effective. It's a very effective unit in the right hands. It can be a very useless unit in the wrong hands, where you get too aggressive, whatever. You think, oh, a couple dodges and danger sense will save me, and then he's dead turn 1 because I just stood by, scouted up, force pushed him or whatever, and shot him with my entire army, right? So he's a very...
Go ahead.
Error bars are wide.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He can die instantly. Something tragic that will happen to Austin. It was his top 8 game against the Sabine player, Travis Posey, one of the Oklahoma guys. They were playing Recover. Bane drops his Bane token on the box, reveals at the start of turn 1 basing it. Sabine jumps out, whipcords him. Bane doesn't die, lives the entire turn, gets up to 14 suppression. Drops that 2-pip, drops the 2-pip turn 2. Sabine plays explosions. Bane still has 2 health left. Both bombs get a single save through. Full danger sense, Bane blanks the next 8 white dice. And that suppression goes to waste. It was tragic to watch. I was like, ugh. Still won the game.
Moments away from him dumping 16 suppression on Sabine.
And Clan Ren was in range. You just wipe him off. Nope, he blanked. It was tragic. Still won the game because once 3 Magna Guard get in melee with a Rebel list that doesn't have a Jedi, that's kind of over for them. But it was sad to see. It was sad to watch.
Yeah, there you go. Bane, on that 1-pip turn, obviously he survived on his 3-pip, I guess, on turn 1 there. But if you get Bane on his 1-pip, turns out white dice, when you get extra white dice and you get to re-roll them, pretty decent.
They eventually will become blocks. Eventually they'll get there.
Quantity over quality, as we say.
Exactly.
Alrighty, so big takeaways on the meta side. I think number 1 that we are learning more and more, beware of Austin Miller. If he's coming, have a plan for how you're going to defeat an expertly played droid list. Put in all the Ion. That's what I'll say. Any event with him in it, just put all the Ion in your list. Don't care about any other person in the field.
And you beat Dark Troopers with the Ion too. And you have a little bit of a skew for Tempest. Perfect timing.
Of course, Austin has 2 repair droids, so he'll just take off all the Ion. But don't worry about that. Don't worry.
That's semantics. No one cares.
And Rebels have a chance. And we're seeing it is with Ahsoka so far.
True.
Not too bad. I do like Ahsoka. I think her problem is the rest of Rebels. But
I was about to say she's like a good thing in a bad situation.
Yeah, people are making it work. And there was even a, we didn't really touch on it, but number 6 was, as we mentioned, Travis with the Sabine Clan Ren. I mean, I've even seen like Ahsoka Sabine lists that are a little bit funky, but they can do work. We saw Rebel Troopers with captains and DLT 19 still showing up. So they've got things. Less Cassian in the top Rebel lists than you might have expected. I feel a little bit of vindication saying that Cassian is overrated when he only features in one of the three.
But
may
he
have
did
been
make
in the
second. Yeah, I was about to say, but second place, but
I'm looking for. I gotta look for something that I got right, because this top 8 is whack.
yeah, I would have gotten it all wrong, every single thing.
Yeah. So this is a few. I mean, because we did our double header about a month ago, looking at Indy Open and Atlantic City, and both of those had decent showings from White Saves.
Both
Austin
White
again
Saves
winning
won
of those
both,
two.
and the other one was won by
Yeah.
Brian.
Well,
I
can
guess
you
Brian
say
played
White Save-
triple Mando with
Triple
Boba.
Mandos with Boba is that's a lot of red
It's
saves.
a lot of
but
red saves.
Still, it's Rebels.
Yep.
So don't feel too bad, I guess, if that's you and you don't have to play Empire to win, which is good. You don't have to play Clones to win, which is good. And we're seeing not dominance by Tempest Force yet. Now, of course, this time last year was, what was brand new was Blizzard Force. People just hadn't figured it out yet fully. But I do think it made top 8 at last year's LSO, Blizzard Force. It just hadn't fully exploded onto the scene yet. It was more, Pikes and that were the big hotness at the time.
Gives me shivers down my spine hearing the word Pikes.
Yeah.
I hate those guys.
So I'd say still keep a watch out for Blizzard Force, but also keep a watch out for Ahsoka. Yeah. And I'm interested to hear, Zach, how your triple ATST experience goes. I'll be hitting you up for that one, or just watching on the website for Invader League. So it's like, how's this list doing?
Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully games end by turn 4. That's the goal. Hopefully either all my when I made the list, I was like, games are going to be fast, and I don't have to think about them, and then I can just go next. So we'll see.
Easy. We've got a couple minutes left here. Do we want to sing the praises of YBTL, Yavin Based Team League? I thought this was a good opportunity.
Oh, yeah. I'll sing the praises of YBTL till I die. For those of you who don't know, Yavin Based Team League is a TTS league, tabletop simulator that runs, I think once a year now is how we've changed it around. Pretty much get a group, 5 guys. You can be your locals, buddies that you met online. Make a team, all group up. You make a team captain, and then you just play against other teams. The restriction is everyone has to play a different faction, but outside of that, have fun.
There's some bans every round. We did them a little different this year than we have, but it's just that, and the different factions kind of forces you to be a little off meta all the time.
Otherwise, you'd see like 5 Blizzard forces before, or 5 Pike lists, and now you have to play something fun because you're forced to.
You're forced to, if you're like, I want to kind of get into competitive or online, but I don't want to just, I don't want to be try hard or just play against the same list all the time. YBTL, breath of fresh air, and just going through the experience of Legion, but like having a team to do it with is a great bonding experience, right? We've had some turnover on our side, but I'm close with all the guys on Jar Jar Sphinx. I'm sure you're close with all, especially with all the success you've been having, Cats and Hats.
True, the Cats and Hats. We're a tight-knit team, and we were randoms. We were like Cinderella story. Yep. Our first tournament we played was the first tournament I've ever played for Legion. We were just 5 random people who joined in the Looking for Team channel in the main Discord, and we went on and we won the whole thing. Cinderella story of Cinderella stories right there.
When we started, Seth was just a guy I had played on ladder a couple times, and he said, "Hey, you want to join? We need a guy for our team," and now we have a podcast together. So really, anything can happen. Maybe it's not the best timing to talk about it when we just finished it for this year.
But see you in 6 months. In 6 months,
exactly.
See
you
crazy.
in 6 to 8 months, perhaps. Probably after Worlds next year. Yeah. But just have in the back of your mind, maybe if you're thinking about learning TTS, that's a reason to do it. If you've got some friends and you need to find a few more, you could start thinking about it now, or you can wait till next year to fill it in. But would highly recommend. Great experience. whether it goes well or goes poorly, it's just a fun way to do Legion. Especially, I liked it after Worlds, because you've been grinding, you've been going hard, and now it's just something that's competitive, but not really. You can just kind of kick back and, enjoy a little bit, something that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So.
But it's not much like it, which I think makes it fun and unique.
Alrighty. Anything to plug for you, Zach?
Big shout out to Zane, Hot and Frosty on the Discord. He was our TO for Lone Star Open this weekend. This event would not have happened without him. After last year, it was very much looking for a new TO, and 5 different people were asked, and no one wanted to do it. And then Zane stepped up and took the reins. So without him, wouldn't even been possible. So shout out to Zane. And then Ethan was my other consular of the weekend. Shout out to him as well. Made me not have to run around 60 tables all weekend. Amazing guy.
Ew, but you could have run around them if you had to.
I could, yeah, and you know what? Because the event's so big, I could have run all the way around them, and it would have made it easier.
Yeah. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, big thanks to Zane and Ethan on those ones, because as big, 64 players, but it all happened because one guy said, okay, I'll run it.
Yep.
Keep that in mind when the time comes to step up. These are the heroes that we need and don't necessarily deserve.
It's true.
Zach, thank you very much for coming on. Been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
And good luck in YBTL finals, but not too much.
Yeah, same to you. I hope your red dice rolled good, but just barely not enough to win the game, but they're close.
Okay. All right. I'll note that down. Alrighty. And thank you everyone for listening and or watching, and stay Gungan.
This has been the Bombad Generals.
Listening to Bombad Generals is not scientifically proven to make you a better Legion player. Side effects may include bad dice rolls, missed triggers, game losses, bankruptcy, divorce, vomiting, and sudden death. Ask your doctor if Bombad Generals is right for you.